Quantum Health Boss! Quantum Health Boss! Quantum Health Boss! Quantum Health Boss! Hyman! Welcome to the Boss Health Matters podcast, where we fight soul management and higher divine management. Quantum Health Boss! Quantum Health Boss! Quantum Health Boss! Quantum Health.
We're opening up the phone lines. Let's see who's on the other end.
Thank you for calling. Please hold for the next available representative.
Quantum Health Boss!
We're opening up the phone lines. Let's see who's on the other end.
Thank you for calling. Please hold for the next
Quantum
available
Health
representative.
Boss! Quantum Health Boss! Quantum Health Boss! Quantum Health Boss! The phone lines are open, it's a call-in show. 1855 now, boss! That's 1855-669-267. Comma and live, boss! Quantum Health! Quantum Health Boss! Quantum Health Boss! Quantum Health! Awareness without action is wasted faith. The divine designed you to lead, not wait!
This is the Boss Health Matters podcast, where the body is the boardroom, the soul runs the company, and the divine is the CEO. We don't guess, we detect and correct. You're tuned into the Boss Health Matters podcast. Hey there, everybody. It's the Quantum Health Boss with this special edition of Boss Health Matters / Lifeline Live. Yeah. You know, me and ChatGPT have been friends lately. And some of you will say, you know what, I'm not all with it, but some of you are all into it. I didn't know this was happening tomorrow until I started to do some research, because I was talking to Victoria about being a co-host on my show, because we want to reach more people. We want to serve you guys. We want to make sure that you saints live to the best, live your body to the best of its ability, right? We want to make sure that if you're dealing with anything, that you have the tools that are needed, not a whole bunch of fluff. So anyways, I was, doing some researching. What can we do for this show? And all I found out is that the FDA is having a meeting tomorrow at 9:00 about the supplements that you're taking right now. And we're doing the update live about it, right? Why? Because it's a $47 million crisis. And we're going live now because this meeting is going live tomorrow at 9 to decide if your supplement should stay on this shelf or go behind a pharma paywall. You heard that right. Big Pharma is all in. But we are your lifeline today, because the door might start to be closing tomorrow. And chronic disease is projected in the US to be a $47 trillion business by 2039. We aren't just getting sicker, we are going bankrupt. And this is why you need a lifeline, right? You guys need to go to house.gov and find your representative to protect the DSHEA 1994 Act and tell them to keep your hands off our supplements. Let me bring on my co-host. Hey, Victoria, what's going on?
Good afternoon. Nothing too much.
Thanks for coming back on the show. And, I put out a call for, some regular co-hosts to come on. And you definitely came in. You're helping us out. and we definitely appreciate it. Just remind us a little bit about yourself, and let's start the show.
Well, I've had a spinal cord injury for 37 years. And to me, I just learned that, excuse my dogs, um, I've just learned that overall mind and body wellness is very important, and a positive mindset to go along with that. So I have, partnered with LifeWave and invested in my overall well-being. So I love sharing what the patches have done for me and what they could do for somebody else.
Cool, that's great. Thanks for sharing.
Of course.
All right, you can go ahead and let's start the show.
All right. Let's see. Well, my first question is, Gregory, why is the FDA holding this emergency meeting tomorrow morning?
Well, I'm just going to break it down one more time for the audience to hear, right? That the garbage supplements that you're buying off of Amazon, the garbage supplements that you're buying from Walgreens, Costco, all of these other places, um, they might not be available. Why? Because Big Pharma, Big Tech is growing vitamins in vats, and the FDA wants to know if a lab grown molecule is a supplement or a drug.
What is the actual danger of these lab grown molecules if they look identical under a microscope?
Well, lab made isolates are like getting the steering wheel of a car and expecting it to drive.
I see there. Let's see. You always talk about the whole food matrix at PRL. Why does the body reject vat grown vitamins?
Well, it's really simple. The nature never gives you a nutrient in isolation. The body needs the cofactor in order to absorb it.
That's very important there. My next question, how does this new FDA push threaten our access to actual soil-based supplements?
If they reclassify these new dietary ingredients, in a nutshell, clean companies get priced out by Big Pharma.
So if they reclassify these as a new dietary ingredients, small clean companies get priced out by Big Pharma patents. If they reclassify them.
Yeah, definitely. If they reclassify them and they get bought out, it's going to be like really, really bad, right? But
Right.
what one thing people should be watching out for is like, how do they know if their supplement in their cabinet is synthetic? Because most natural vitamin C's are garbage. They're fermented corn syrup from China. You
Oh,
aren't
wow.
eating an orange, you're eating a processed corn byproduct. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be spending my money for something that's supposedly good and
No,
it's something from China.
definitely not. Wow. Um, for those that are watching right now, how do they know if the vitamin in their cabinet is synthetic?
I think the best way that they should know is go to a quantum reflex analysis practitioner. Why? Because we do organ and gland testing, and I can stress tap and see if those supplements are good for your body or not. But let's go into the next segment here for segment 2.
All right. So, my next set of questions. The news just broke that metformin actually hijacks the brain's hypothalamus. Why does that change everything we know about blood sugar?
It proves that blood sugar is a neurological signaling issue. The brain is the thermostat. Using a drug is like smashing the thermostat because the room is hot.
We hear about metformin for anti-aging, but what about the risk of pancreatic cancer?
Yeah. Whew. Long-term use in women has been linked to a 2-time increase of pancreatic cancer compared to diet alone therapy. And I experienced this just the other day with a client.
You know, that's one thing a lot of people don't think about are the long-term effects of some of these products. It's kind of like what's happening right now, what they're benefiting from it in that moment.
Yeah, you're 100%. And the thing like the patches are 100% needed because they can bypass some of these adulterates that are in the market and give your body the phytobobilation that it needs.
Right. And with it being all natural and not interfering with anything, it's even better. There's no ill side effects to those patches.
100%.
You mentioned the LD50 and the black box warning. What does that mean for the average person taking this?
Well, for anybody that doesn't know what LD means, it means lethal dose. Okay. And 50 is just the age. So if your kidneys slip, it catches lactic acidosis, which is about 50% mortality rate.
Let's see. I apologize for all the questions, but let's see. My next one is, why is metformin called the B12 bandit? And what does this do to the brain long term?
Well, up to 30% of the users become B12 deficient. And why is that a problem? Well, you need B vitamins to be suspension in the bile in order to keep the cholesterol from coagulating. So it causes permanent nerve damage and cognitive decline. It kind of looks like dementia. And we are looking at the blood sugar, but it's breaking the brain.
Well, that's scary.
Oh, yeah.
If the brain controls blood sugar, what happens to our gut bacteria when we swallow this drug?
It completely alters the microbiome. It causes a very diabetic diarrhea, and people are trying to avoid it.
Wow.
Yeah, we are fixing blood sugar, but breaking the pancreas. This isn't a medical win. That's a metabolic mortgage. I don't know about you guys, but we need to fix this and make sure that you pay attention to what's happening tomorrow, because the only thing that's going to be left is what the big pharma wants to give you. So going into segment 3 here is going to provide you with the solution.
So if metformin is B12, is the B12 bandit, what black box risks with the black box risk, what is the natural rebuttal for someone who needs help now?
Premier Glucose Manager. We use dihydroberberine and reduced dose. We fix the biological pathways the drug ignores.
Wow. Why is excuse me on the pronunciation of this word.
Dihydroberberine.
Yes, sir. Why is that so much better than the regular berberine everyone buys on Amazon?
Okay, well, regular berberine, they've been using it for a long time for people with metabolic issues, type 1, type 2. Okay. But the problem with berberine is that it causes a little bit of irritation in the body. So we made took a fraction of the berberine, and that's what it's called, dihydroberberine. It's used in a hydraulic process. So with the dihydroberberine doesn't cause that irritation in the body, and that's why the DHB is an active form, right? It uses a fire hose compared to a leaky bucket. And you can actually get 5 times the absorption with dihydroberberine than zero absorption with regular berberine.
I see. What about reticose?
Reduced dose.
Reducose, sorry. How does this mulberry leaf extract actually compete with a pharmaceutical?
Well, yeah. So reduced dose is mulberry leaf. Okay, and it's a carb blocker. It works to contain the DNG, which handcuffs the enzymes in your gut, preventing carbs from turning into sugar spikes. It's drop up to 40%.
You mentioned a second meal effect with reduced dose. How does that work?
Well, I kind of never did, but really, because it slows digestion, right? Because reduced goals prevent carbs from turning into sugar, so it will slow your digestion. It improves your sugar response for the next meal you eat, even hours later. A drug can't do that.
How does stopping carb absorption actually feed the good bacteria in our gut?
Oh, that's a really good question. I never realized it, but it unabsorbs carbs that travel to the colon and become prebiotics. Metformin destroys the microbiome. Glucose manager feeds it.
Very interesting. Why is Big Pharma trying to get the FDA to ban ingredients such as reduced dose and DHB tomorrow?
Because they see the 40% reduction in glucose spikes and want to claim these pathways for themselves. Want this behind a $500 prescription wall? Yeah. Instead of poisoning the liver, we are turning fast carbs into slow carbs. We are fixing the meat, not breaking the body.
It's fascinating.
So, Victoria, we've talked a lot about my stuff, but we want to talk a little bit about light, how we use light to heal. How do these light wave X39 patches activate stem cell without any drugs?
Because it works with the light that is naturally in the cells of our body. So it just stimulates them to do what they were intended to do from the very beginning. And with that regenerating of our stem cells, we're literally aging in reverse.
Cool. Can you
And
explain phyto modulation for me?
the patch,
Phytomodulation?
yeah, that's a tough one for me to say sometimes. The patch reflects the body's own infrared heal. Let's see, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. So the patch reflects the body's own infrared heat back into the skin to signal the production of the GHK-Cu copper peptides.
Ooh, that's a pretty big thing. So basically, what you're saying is that GLP-1, uh, those things that they're trying to give people could be probably not giving them, and maybe replaced with a patch and maybe glucose manager. Wow.
Yes.
Why is GHKCU called the holy grail of regenerative medicine by researchers?
It resets 4,000 genes to a younger state. It wakes up the repair crew, the stem cells that went dormant as we aged.
Well, I think most people think stem cells mean $100, $10,000 injection. How does that simple patch compare to, you know, $10,000 treatment?
Well, the injections are outside in. The patch is inside out. It restores the body's ability to make its own.
Do you have one of those patches on right now?
Oh, I have all of them.
How many do you have on?
Uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Can you explain about what each one does for us?
I have X39. I have, which is the regenerating, and it also gives me increased energy. I don't have like the jitters. It's helped with mental clarity within the first hour and a half of putting X39 on. I noticed all of a sudden I had that mental clarity and that energy, and that's what really got me excited about them. And I invested in my overall well being. X49, it helps with bone density. And as a woman and in my 50s, I have, to worry about osteoporosis. So I wear it mainly for the bone density. The carnosine is great for the skin integrity, heart health also. But I wear it because sitting in a chair, I am prone to pressure sores. And I've noticed, which is pretty cool, the way it's working is the skin, the scars that I've had from the numerous surgeries I've had to do, they're starting to lighten up, and the pink that they were, almost the red, are now very light shade of pink and slowly blending in with my skin. So that's super exciting. And I noticed that my skin looks better, and the fine lines on my face are not as prominent. And then I wear Eon for the pain and inflammation that, because everybody has inflammation in their bodies, and it's varies depending on individual. So when I started wearing X39, I wore Eon side by side on my right hip. And 2 months into wearing it, I woke up one morning and I had no pain. And mind you, I've been suffering with chronic pain for 20 years. And sitting in a chair, I had literally no relief. I could lay down and still there was no relief. So I was very surprised and elated when I woke up that morning and it was gone. And, it's been gone for 5 months, but I still wear Eon because it helps with the daily inflammation that happens from like sitting in the chair. And it's so nice when the doctor will ask me, "So, how was your pain?" And I'm like, what pain? And then SP6, I wear for weight management. And what it does is it turns your fat cells into energy. And so that's pretty much what I have on me, usually every day. And there's so many other ones to try and for different reasons. But if someone's just starting out, X39 is the powerhouse that encompasses everything.
Cool. A lot of people watching have chronic pain, as you said, from systemic inflammation. How fast does the photobiomodulation address that?
Well, it's different for everyone. And a lot of that depends on the amount of inflammation that's in your body. And X39 goes through what needs the help the most. And then it goes on to the next thing. Let's see here. I kind of lost my place here. Uh, mm. But often it's within the 24-hour period. People will see massive shift in the inflammatory markers, followed by deep sleep, which is wonderful, and the rapid wound healing by day 7. And I have to comment on that too. I know when I first started carnosine, I did have a wound on my right hip, and that when I put the patch on, it started healing differently. And I was like, wait a minute, I've never seen a wound heal this way. And it was healing, it was like bringing it in instead of, and it was probably doing both simultaneously. But what I noticed the most was how it was shrinking from the outside. My doctor was scratching his head on how that worked. I think he's still contemplating that. But I tell a lot of my friends that suffer from chronic wounds, you need to wear carnosine because that is literally a lifesaver too for those of us that are in a chair.
100%. You got to fix the ECM, and the ECM is the forgotten fabric between the skin. So yeah, the FDA is looking. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the FDA is looking at wearable tech uh, right now. Why do medical lobbyists want to regulate the patches as medical devices?
Because they are terrified of technology that heals, especially without a paid prescription. If they classify it as a class 2 device, then they control who gets it.
Your body is a light bulb. This patch captures wasted light. You're already leaking and using it to your DNA. Big Pharma wants to patent GHKCU, that's copper peptides, DHB, and reduce costs. You guys need to call your senator right now. Call your congressman, your senator. Tell them to protect the DSHEA Act of 1994. You guys need to get clean stuff before they try to take it. So go to prelabs.com and check out with my practitioner code BF8082 or go to vibrateplus.com. But if you need to get those patches, you got to make sure that you go to LifeWave, but you got to go to LifeWave/Victoria Allen. Okay. You're not going to go to LifeWave/Quantum Boss. You're going to go to LifeWave/Victoria Allen because she is going to be your expert to support you even past buying the patches. We are both going to be here to make sure that you get everything that you need. Also, we did have some slides that I forgot to put up. So let's take a look at the first one. So a new understanding of the drug mechanism, right? For 60 years, we thought that this drug was just a liver fix. But as of yesterday, March 25th, Baylor College of Medicine proved it was actually hijacking your brain's control center. That was metformin. Supplement versus synthetic. You got the whole food matrix. You got the complete and synergistic, vitamins, nutriments, phytochemicals, fiber, right? And then you got the synthetic isolates, precision fermentation vats, GMO yeast, single molecule isolates. But the FDA is debating this tomorrow. The mirror effect, right? You got the LifeWave X39, capturing and reflecting, right? Remember that you are a light bulb. Victoria's patch captures the infrared heat already leaking from you. And they're trying to control that tomorrow too. Hey, make sure you go to lifewave.com/Victoria Island and get some patches now before, you're going to make sure you contact your congressman or your senators so nothing happens to them. But make sure you go and get something right now to keep in your storehouse. Glucose manager, right? Reduce costs. And then you have all of these nice things, but instead of poisoning the liver or hijacking the brain like metformin does, the glucose manager simply handcuffs the enzymes and turns the carbs into sugar, fast carbs into slow carbs naturally. I think we really need to put proper cops at the lights that are not working instead of putting these traffic wardens. That's what they're doing in my city. Traffic wardens don't have a gun. But understanding the plastic lung, right? There's almost 70,000 daily inhalations, right? In 2026, data shows that we inhale 70,000 plastic particles a day. This is why we need political lifeline. Call your congressman to protect your right to natural detox tools that Big Pharma wants to patent, right? We want to keep these tools available. Don't get it twisted, okay? I highly believe that most of the supplements at Amazon, Walgreens, Costco are garbage, and they really need to be regulated. But personally, they already are regulated. They're just nobody's policing them. So you're gonna have to police them yourselves, and the only way to do that is with proper testing, right? You gotta
Correct.
have proper testing from a qualified person in order to figure out if you're getting the right stuff. Because you see, this small kit here is just not even a representation of the $14 trillion supplement industry. So I understand why they want to regulate it, but you need to understand that Big Pharma wants to regulate it. Why? Because they want the price to be a lot more. Anything you want to add, Victoria?
Yes. Mentioning Amazon, I know a lot of people may be caught off guard because of the cost of the patches, but it's like, how much is your overall well-being worth? So they'll go to Amazon and purchase them there, which I had somebody do that. And it was from a third party. And there is no guarantee on Amazon or any other website that you might order these patches from. And on lifewave.com, there's a 30-day money back guarantee. That doesn't mean that they don't work, but there's people out there that expect an overnight cure. And not everyone is a one patch wonder and can notice something within a few hours or the first day. And so they get discouraged because they don't see anything right away or they don't feel it. But remember, the patches are working from the inside out. And kind of the rule of thumb is 1 month for every decade of life is what it could, how long it could take before you uh, notice or feel anything. But how many times does the doctor tell you, take the pill? And it's like, well, after a month or two, if it's not working or you don't feel anything, the doctor says you have to keep taking it. And it's like, but it's not doing anything. But because the doctor said to keep taking it, we keep taking it, unbeknownst to what it could be doing inside of us, down the road long term. So just know that you're worth it. When you join as a member, you don't have to be in it as a business, because there is that opportunity, but you can be what's called a brand partner. And then that opens you up to the discount and the sales that LifeWave does put on for the patches.
I like
So
anything that you say discount. I like that. Why? Because I don't think we should be paying a whole lot for what God has put on the earth.
right. Well, like the auxiliary patches, the Eon SP6, the carnosine, anything that is different from X39 and X49, those start out, I believe, around $69.99. If you buy two, it drops to $59.99. If you buy three, it's $49.99 per 30 days. But sometimes LifeWave will run a special on X39 and X49 together, calling it the Performance Pack. And that, is the price that they allocate then, instead of $99 for X39 and, what the price for X49 is at that time. So, it just depends throughout the month what types of specials they're running. But I have to budget it, and I look for the sales, So I just encourage people to be open-minded and give it a try, because they're amazing, and they have literally given me a new lease on life.
That's really, really, really cool. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, guys, because we want to make sure that this podcast gets out to everybody, right? Remember, like, subscribe, and share. And also remember that this is a call-in show. So it's 1-855-669-2677. 1-855-669-2677. If you have any requests, topics for our next show, what do you want Victoria to answer or ask about, then let's bring it on. But yeah, Victoria, this definitely worked out a lot better than the last time. And we're not going to let the devil get in the way again. But yeah,
Amen.
we have all the tools that you need to get over whatever issue you're dealing with. So I know you're searching for solutions. Call Victoria or call Greg today. All you have to do is 1-855-NOW-BOSS. Talk to you guys soon.